Something's washed up on Johnson Beach, and it's a long way from home.
But at first, I didn't know what it was.
Where this massive steel buoy came from and who's now tasked with removing it. An Escambia County mother speaking out after her son was the victim of a hit and run in Nashville.
Just begged and pleaded that if God needed somebody, he just took me instead.
She recounts the moment she thought her son was going to die. Florida cracking down on swatting calls.
These are not victimless crimes.
The harsher penalties for a person who calls in a fake emergency that ends with someone injured or dead.
WEAR News at 10 starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. There was more than just sand and seashells on the beach today. A massive steel buoy belonging to the state of Louisiana washed up on the shores in Perdido Key. Residents say they first spotted the buoy Tuesday night before it washed ashore. The main question, how did it get here? We're learning this buoy is a fish attracting device, and it floated all the way from the coast of Louisiana. On Johnson Beach Wednesday afternoon, there were people fishing in the Gulf, people soaking up the sun, and a bright yellow buoy sitting right on the shoreline.
First, I didn't know what it was. It's got this hole in the back there. I was like, I'm not getting back there. I didn't know what it could be, I had no idea.
Dean Valdez lives in a high-rise along the beach. He and other residents in the area first spotted something floating in the water on Tuesday.
Thought it was just a barrel out there, but I figured it's big and it can do some damage, so I needed to notify somebody. And was hoping that they would get it before it washed ashore.
Escambia County officials tell us the buoy belongs to the state of Louisiana. It's not for marking locations or guiding vessels, but it's meant to attract fish like tuna and wahoo, creating opportunities for anglers. Instead of bringing in fish, it's attracting a crowd on land.
I just was stunned.
According to Louisiana's Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, this buoy was deployed into the Gulf in 2023, 30 nautical miles off the coast of Venice, Louisiana. That's more than 200 nautical miles from Johnson Beach.
How does that happen?
So I have no idea. And it obviously broke loose, went across Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and now here to Florida. It was pretty wild.
Escambia County officials say it's up to the state of Louisiana to move the buoy because the state is the one renting it.
I was worried last night about it maybe going back out to sea and then a boat hitting it. That was the scary part.
Escambia County officials say staff with the state of Louisiana have been notified. They tell us since the buoy sits on private property, the state is working to get beach access to remove it.
They can hoist it up with a big crane and maybe get it back to where it belongs.
Now, we still don't know what caused the buoy to move from its original location. We reached out to the state of Louisiana this afternoon for comment, and we're waiting to hear back. An Escambia County mother is grateful her son is alive after he was struck by a car in broad daylight. It happened while the family was on vacation in Nashville. Surveillance video shows the moment the car made impact with Zach Karach as he was crossing the street. We're not showing you the impact of the accident due to its graphic nature. After Zach was hit, the car continues to speed off. Nashville police say the driver is still at large, but the car has been recovered.
They never even slowed. They didn't brake. They just kept going. And I watched this happen to my child. I was standing right there. I saw every bit of it happen. I ran through the other cars that were coming and got to him, and I just started praying for him. I just begged and pleaded that if God needed somebody, he just took me instead. And it was pretty awful. They told us later that the reason he wasn't really breathing well was because he got the breath knocked out of him.
Karach says her son has had a long road ahead of him, but it's a miracle that he's alive. A Cantonment man was found guilty of attempted murder for a shooting outside a Pensacola bowling alley in 2023. A jury found 21-year-old Nicholas Valia guilty last Friday. He was arrested for shooting 17-year-old Garrett Tucker at the DeLuna Lanes parking lot on September 23rd. Investigators say Valia and Tucker got into an argument. That's when Valia shot into Tucker's vehicle, striking him in the arm and the stomach. Tucker was taken to the hospital and survived. Valia will be sentenced on June 18th. And we have an update on the woman found dead in a vehicle in Pensacola yesterday. Pensacola police were called to the Publix on 9th Avenue around 3:30. Police say they found the 60-year-old woman dead inside a vehicle in the parking lot. They say she died due to medical issues. She has not been identified. Bear traps have been removed from a Gulf Breeze property just a week after a man was attacked by a black bear. That's according to Florida Fish and Wildlife. The agency says the traps were removed due to a lack of bear activity. We reached out to Florida Fish and Wildlife about more details on the case and are still waiting to hear back. And Florida will have its first bear hunt in 10 years. That's after the Florida Fish and Wildlife approved it, despite strong opposition. We asked the Northwest Florida community if they were in support of another bear hunt. Here's the results from our poll. Nearly 500 people responded. 24% were in support of it, and 76% were not.
First Warning Weather, sponsored by Pensacola State College.
Well, some thunderstorms rumbled earlier and we had a bit of rain. Not everywhere, but there was some rain. It's all dry late tonight, and the rain is way up the eastern seaboard into the northeast at this time. Still some cloud cover in the skies, though. Here's the Hardee's Beach Cam, a late night view as we check out the island, and our temperatures here, some 60s for those inland areas, still 70s along the coast, but it is going to be cooling a little bit overnight here as some slightly cooler air slides into place. Coastal areas could be down in the upper 60s tomorrow morning, and some of those inland areas may be down in the mid to low 60s. So little change here with the front moving over the area. I'll show you where the front is now coming up in the full report. As we look ahead to tomorrow, highs in the 80s. Now, if we end up with a bit of cloud cover, it may not be as warm as it could be. Otherwise, it could be pushing upper 80s or even around 90 for the inland areas. And we'll get more sunshine on Friday. Memorial Day weekend is coming up, and we're breaking down when rain may move through.
Florida Power and Light is hosting a free Community Energy Saver event in Cantonment tomorrow. Northwest Florida residents can speak directly with FPL energy experts and community representatives about how to keep power bills as low as possible all summer long. It's being held at the Langley Bell 4-H Center on Stefani Road. It runs from 4 to 6 p.m. and customers can RSVP and learn more about the event. Just head to WEARTV.com. We've got a link for you there. New details into the proposed pay raise for Escambia County School Superintendent Keith Leonard. We reported that school board member Paul Fetzko proposed a 19% raise to Leonard's salary. That would make Leonard's salary $205,000 a year. A spokesperson for the district says the proposal was tabled at yesterday's meeting. They say it will be discussed in an upcoming workshop. Escambia County is looking into the spending practices of organizations funded by the Escambia Children's Trust. A document sent to the county and then sent to WEAR News shows a majority of the funds awarded to organizations are going towards salaries and benefits for employees at those organizations. Now, County Commissioner Mike Kohler is calling for an audit. WEAR's Brent Carney has more.
County Commissioner Mike Kohler is seeking clarity on how the Escambia Children's Trust and the organizations that they're funding are spending their money. This document sent to the county and then to us shows the Children's Trust approved $5.4 million in funding last year. The document sent to the county claims 88% of the awarded money from last year was used for employee salaries and benefits, while 11% went directly to programming for kids. I brought this to County Commissioner Mike Kohler, who received the same document.
And, obviously I need to validate this, but the numbers are extremely high with salaries, travel, expenses to the tune of between 68 and 88%.
Escambia Children's Trust Director Lindsay Cannon did not wish to speak on camera, but answered my questions through email. She said the numbers given to the county are not accurate, and 4 of the listed organizations on the document were not funded. Cannon sent us the grant awards for this year. It shows 58% of the money of grant awards are being used for salaries and benefits. Commissioner Kohler wants additional answers.
I appreciate the document that showed the breakdown, but there's still a lot to be known just on the number of people per salary, the number of children helped. None of that's in this document.
Kohler also said some of these organizations may have been primarily run by volunteers prior to getting Children's Trust dollars.
They did prior. And, if they had that before, you would think that this would only augment their programs and be able to reach more children. And all those things need to be addressed and answered by the Children's Trust. I'm not after the Children's Trust. I just want to make sure we're spending the money correct.
According to the Trust's website, salaries can be covered as part of grant funding. Organizations are required to provide details to the Trust on who these salaries are for. The Trust also said grant applications are thoroughly vetted through multiple committees before they're approved.
We have a responsibility to have oversight as a Board of County Commissioners. And we need to make sure that every one of these entities are using the taxpayer funds in the right way.
Brent Carney, WEAR News.
The trust said just over 50% of this year's grant funding is going towards salaries for organizations. Florida is increasing its penalties for false 911 calls, also known as swatting calls. Swatting is the malicious act of making a fake report of an emergency in an attempt to trigger a response by law enforcement. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis signed House Bill 279 into law. People who are convicted of a swatting call that ends in a death will face a second-degree felony. And if that call ends with an injury, the caller would be charged with a third-degree felony.
These are not victimless crimes. One, people can get hurt by doing it, but even if nobody's hurt, it's taking resources and time and manpower away from actually doing the job that we want our law enforcement and first responders to do. So this is something that needs to be addressed to the full extent of the law.
Also requires courts to order restitution from convicted individuals. That means someone convicted of making a swatting call would have to cover the costs incurred by public safety agencies and victims affected by the false reports. Governor DeSantis is also expanding school safety efforts in Florida. Today, he signed Florida Senate Bill 1470. It expands the school guardian program to child care facilities. Schools will also be required to revise their school access control requirements. That would include campus access doors, classroom doors, and school gates. The law also requires school security guards to be approved by the local sheriff. Florida lawmakers will soon be making their way back to Tallahassee for a special session. State lawmakers failed to pass a state budget during the Florida legislative session. According to State Senator Don Gates, lawmakers will return to the state capitol sometime between now and June 30th. The Florida Constitution requires a balanced budget to be approved by July 1st. If that doesn't happen, the state could head towards a government shutdown. A fifth inmate in the New Orleans jail break captured as 3 people are now accused of aiding in the escape.
Download the WEAR News app now, sponsored by Forrest Jordan and Associates.
A break in the case of 10 inmates who escaped from a New Orleans jail last week. Louisiana State Police say 2 more people have been arrested. Those individuals are accused of helping some of the inmates who escaped avoid arrest. Thus far, 3 people have been arrested for allegedly helping inmates flee or evade arrest, while 5 inmates have been recaptured. Sherelle Hubbard has more.
Several escaped New Orleans inmates are still fugitives, but 2 people accused of aiding inmates were arrested Wednesday. Courtney Harris is accused of transporting 2 escapees, while Corvante Baptiste allegedly helped get food for Corey Boyd while he was in hiding. The Louisiana State Police said Wednesday former fugitive Boyd was transported by helicopter to a secure facility after being caught Tuesday night. Crime Stoppers of New Orleans says community members are tipping off police.
I immediately contacted the FBI.
One Uber driver told affiliate WDSU he believes he unknowingly gave another inmate a ride. He says a woman requested the ride, but a man got in.
What alarmed me was when he got in, most passengers, they greet you after I greet them. He didn't say anything.
A maintenance worker at the jail was arrested Tuesday. He's accused of assisting in the inmate's escape, according to a search warrant affidavit. He told investigators he turned off water in the cell from which the suspects fled. Council members demanded answers about system failures.
That's incredibly concerning that their very basic level of technology to keep the facility secure and to have an understanding when things go wrong is not there.
I take full accountability for this failure.
One inmate at the jail from where the prisoners escaped says since the escape, the jail has gone into lockdown.
Deputies, they're fighting against each other because they don't know who was involved, and they're also fighting against the inmates that are still here.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
Okaloosa County recognized the Scouts of Troop 544 for finding a missing child. Scouts were gathered for their weekly meeting last month when they were approached by law enforcement to help find a missing 11-year-old child with autism. Scouts were able to locate the child hiding in Ferry Park.
First Warning WeatherNet is sponsored by Peden Air Conditioning, Plumbing and Electrical. Here is Chief Meteorologist Alan Strom.
Check out this Destin dolphin. Look at that, getting after it. If you look really closely too, you can see he's after a fish. Doing the upside down maneuver. Let's watch it one more time. This is also on my Facebook page if you want to check it out. Look at that. upside down maneuver, and it's hard to tell if he actually caught it. But the guy was hungry there. Look how clear the waters are, too, out of Destin, from the city there. So, hey, we've got dry weather now. We're back in a dry weather pattern here. Nothing on our radar map late tonight. We have to really zoom out and look elsewhere to find any rain. It's up toward the northeast as our weather maker brought severe weather and then dropped in our local area with a bit of rain and some thunderstorms for some spots and still a little bit of cloud cover late tonight. The front has dropped south out over the Gulf, and what we have is this area of high pressure that is helping to send in a bit of cooler air. You'll notice it first thing tomorrow morning. It'll be a little different than what we saw over the last couple nights and mornings. A little bit cooler, but during the daytime hours, you won't notice a whole lot around the area. Now, there's this question of the cloud cover during the day tomorrow. So this is Futurecast showing around noon quite a bit of cloud cover hanging over northwest Florida and southwest Alabama. Now, if we end up seeing more clouds throughout the day, then the temperatures won't be quite as warm, but it will be close, and we're going to see some sunshine too. I mean, look at this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If it's cloudy along the coast, that'll make a difference with those temperatures along those immediate coastal areas, while it will heat right up for these inland areas that could get up to around 90 degrees or so. Either way, we're expecting more sunshine here as we take it into Friday. Temperatures right now, some 60s inland. That's different than what we've been seeing recently or during our late night hours, and 70s along the coast. But almost all areas should see 60s heading into tomorrow morning. Maybe upper 60s for the coastal areas, mid to low 60s for those inland areas. And then during the day tomorrow, we'll end up with those temperatures getting up into the 80s. But with some sunshine inland, certainly could see 90 degrees tomorrow. So do look for that. Out along the coast, yellow flags, I mean, just sort of moderate risk of rip currents, and it's expected to be a low to moderate risk of rip currents over the next couple of days. Gulf waters are warming up. Lifeguard's saying it's about 80 degrees. Our Seatow Marine forecast tomorrow has the seas averaging at about 2 feet. Let's check out the view from the Hardee's Beach Cam. Hilton at Pensacola Beach. Yep, saw a lot of cloud cover down there and some rainy weather along the coast as well. Hey, Blue Wahoos with more action here as we take it through the next several days as we head into the weekend. If you're going to the game, Friday, Saturday nights, fireworks Saturday night. Those games start at 6:05. Still starting out in the 80s. Sunday, that game at 4 o'clock and looking rather warm there with temperatures, during the afternoon hours, certainly well into the 80s. And here's when we've got a chance for rain. This is Memorial Day, but it's likely to hit. If it does, it'll be more like the afternoon and evening hours. So we'll be dry through Sunday, but Memorial Day, we do bring back a chance for rain, and it continues through next week.
Download the WEAR First Warning Weather app now. Sponsored by Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.
A former assistant and psychologist take the stand in Diddy's federal criminal trial. I'm Jeff Harris in Washington. Coming up, their testimony about the freak-offs and Ventura's relationship with the music mogul.
A former assistant, psychologist, and special agent all taking the stand Wednesday in Sean Diddy Combs' federal sex trafficking trial. The jury was shown photos from the 2024 search of Combs' beach home. It included boxes filled with baby oil and drugs. Jeff Harris has more.
George Kaplan, Combs' former assistant, describing what his job entailed, including planning and cleaning up freak-offs. Psychologist Dawn Hughes also taking the stand, testifying about sexual assault, abuse, and also traumatic stress. Wednesday's testimony began with Special Agent Gerard Gannon back on the stand. The jury shown photos of items said to be found during the search of Combs' home last year, including personal lubricant, lingerie, and what Gannon says were upper and lower receivers of AR-15s. Prosecutors then calling Dawn Hughes, an expert witness involved in high-profile cases like the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, and R. Kelly trials. Former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani telling us Hughes was important to provide clarity.
Hughes explained why Cassie stayed in the relationship, and I think she didn't answer a lot of questions.
Testifying as a blind expert, Hughes providing the jury with information about domestic violence, sexual assault, and traumatic stress, saying it's common for victims to stay in abusive relationships. Many victims will wait months, even years, before telling about what happened to them. The defense characterizing Hughes as a biased professional witness, asking if she's gathered information about the specific facts of this case. Her response, "I'm not rendering any opinions about a specific individual." Also on the stand, Combs' former assistant, George Kaplan, describing what his job entailed, including organizing freak-offs and picking up drugs.
The setup and the cleanup, I think, is important, and the assistants have a lot of evidence in this case.
Now, on Thursday, prosecutors plan to call 5 witnesses after Kaplan finishes his testimony. Kid Cudi, the rapper who had a brief relationship with Ventura, is scheduled to take the stand. I'm Jeff Harris reporting from Washington.
Another successful year for the world's largest lionfish tournament. How many of the invasive species were removed from Gulf waters? The world's largest lionfish tournament removed more than 20,000 invasive species over the weekend. The event is held off the coast of Destin and Fort Walton Beach. This year, one team caught more than 2,000 lionfish. The biggest one was over 17 inches. This annual event has now removed over 100,000 lionfish since 2019. The city of Fort Walton Beach has selected its design for their new downtown welcome sign. It's a paddleboard with a giant wave. The sign also has other symbols associated with the area, like military aircraft, palm trees, dolphins, and sailboats. The artist behind the work is Christina Donahoe and was awarded $5 grand for her winning design. The entrance sign will be placed at the intersection of U.S. Highway 98 and Eglin Parkway. The Pensacola Beach Island Trolley returns this Friday. The trolleys are operated by Escambia County Area Transit, or ECAT. They will run daily from 4 p.m. to midnight through Labor Day. The service is free for all riders.
Chime in, sponsored by Florida Power and Light.
And it's Wildlife Wednesday. To share your pictures and videos, text WEAR-TV to 95577 or look for the Chime In tab on our website.
Well, tomorrow, a bit of a mix of sun and clouds, especially for the coastal areas. More sunshine the farther inland you are. Highs in the 80s. Inland areas could top at 90, though. Look for that. Dry weather. We're back to a dry pattern for the next several days. And then we fall back into a more humid pattern heading into the weekend. And Memorial Day is when we bring back that chance for rain on the area.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We hope to see you tomorrow. Jimmy Kimmel Live is next. I heard you just had a birthday. Happy belated.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You have fun?
Yeah. It was over the weekend, too, which is always fun, right?
I love a weekend birthday. Yeah. It's the best.